Hey guys, this is the Sports Hub. I'm Connor O'Gara. It's conference tournament time. Of course, the RPAC tournament kicking off this weekend. We want to talk about the girls and the boys RPAC tournaments. We have a Coach's Corner interview with Kearney High girls coach Jason Boyd. We have a Sports Hub Call of the Week with Cozad and Holdrege boys. But before we get to any of that, it's 3 stars in this program. And the first star, Brady Holtmeyer of Kearney Catholic, had a 27-point game and a 65-36 victory against Doniphan Trumbull. That's a career high for Holtmeyer, and I really thought that his game was a product of Kearney Catholic becoming more and more comfortable in the half court. He was able to find the soft spot in some of those zones and just get some of those nicer baskets inside that kind of cause you to use a little bit of muscle down low. And Holtmeyer is just somebody that's really developing really nicely for the Stars. Only a sophomore. Expect a lot more games like that out of Holtmeyer in the future. Second star we want to look at, Colette Burrell. This is a girl from Lewis, that a 5'4" point guard that was able to have a big 28-point 11 rebound game in a victory against Elwood, and really big performance for in a career high performance at that in a game that Loomis just needed. This is a team that was riding a 10-game losing streak coming into that one. They need Burrell to step up and have a lot more games like that. She's only 5'4", but she's really scrappy and just needs to be kind of the fuel of that offense for Loomis to have some more success in the second half of the season. And then the third star, Haley Janelle. She had a 26-point game in a victory against Overton, and this is a Bertrand team that's really kind of coming into its own right now. They've had some tough losses in that first semester, and all of their losses, actually, with the exception of a 29-point loss to Centura, which is really, really good in C2 right now, all of their losses have been single-digit losses to higher class teams. I think Bertrand is one of those teams that down the stretch, and when they just face only Class D2 teams, they're going to be a really tough out come playoff time. It was at this exact time last year that the Kearney High girls got a little bit of momentum going into the second semester and made that push towards the district title. Bearcats obviously ended up in state last year, and they did exactly that last week. They had a rare 3-game week, but they picked up victories in all 3 of those games. Very important for the Bearcats. They're up to number 8 in the World Herald rankings right now. Have an important weekend coming up against Lincoln East and Omaha Marion. I got to catch up with Kearney High coach Jason Boyd in this edition of the Coach's Corner.
Yeah, I think this is a big weekend for us. In fact, I think of our remaining games, these are definitely two of the best, probably the best 2 teams we have left on our schedule. And so against Lincoln East, they're 2 different teams. Lincoln East is a team that pressures a lot. They won 3-1. They trap in the full court. They like a full court game. They want to run. They like a fast-paced game. And so with them, we want to get stops. I think the key is on the defensive end to get stops against them so they can't get their press set up. It just kind of slows them down, and they don't want to play slow. And so for them, definitely getting stops and taking care of the ball. Marion's a bigger team, zones a lot. And so, with them, it's we might want to create a little tempo with them, and we definitely don't want to slow it down too much, but we want to get good shots on the offensive end as well, and hopefully limit their inside touches. And they've had a point guard that's been scoring the ball pretty well lately. So obviously defensively for both games is key, but the pace of the game is kind of different for both games as well. Yeah, we hope so. I think our schedule second semester is tougher than we envisioned it to be, actually. It's tougher than it was last year. All those teams were playing. A lot of these teams are better than they were a year ago. In fact, Marion was maybe only won a few games last year, and now I think they only have 3 losses this year. And so, and Lincoln East is better than they were a year ago. So we definitely have tougher competition this second semester. But yeah, we try to build for the second half of the season, and hopefully you're constantly working at getting better throughout the season, and you're playing your best basketball at the end. Because at the end, it comes down to can you win your district? Can you win districts? Can you get to state? And that's our ultimate goal, is to get there, and then you never know what can happen once you get there.
The RPAC tournament will kick off this Saturday, and my one big question is can Bertrand or Arapahoe potentially, or even Paxton, beat Southern Valley? Southern Valley is the number 1 seed in the boys bracket, a team that obviously is coming off of that conference title last year. This is a Southern Valley team that just has so much experience. We talk about them all the time, and the talent that they have with Quinn and Perkins and Miller and Varela, guys that have been there before, understand what it takes to win a conference championship. And the fact that they've already beat Bertrand by 33, I think that's really important. Bertrand has really hung with a lot of good teams this year. One of those teams that can kind of play with a lot of different classes, but Southern Valley had absolutely none of that the first time that those two teams met this season. And I'd be really interested to see what would happen if they were able to have that showdown in the second round. You know, Southern Valley, a team that really kind of grinds at you, a defensive team, really likes to be able to kind of speed you up offensively, just get you out of your rhythm. And if they can do that, Southern Valley could definitely be in for another conference title. My one big question on the girls' side is, can the Arapahoe girls avenge a 32-point loss to Dundee County Stratton? This is an Arapahoe team that did that last year. Last year they lost to Dundee County Stratton by 26 points, and they still ended up winning a conference title out of it. Got to face Dundee County Stratton in the championship and were victorious in that effort. And this is an Arapahoe team that has not seen competition like this all year. You know, we talk about the talent all the time that they have with Watson and Eichenberger, and Claire Anderson, of course. And what can Arapahoe do when it's tested? Obviously, they had a very rough shooting game in that first meeting against Dundee County Stratton. Can they repeat that? I don't think so. I think Arapahoe is able to have a much better game if those two teams are able to meet each other in a championship scenario. Eichenberger only had 3 points in that first game. I don't think she does that in the second game. They really shut her down well, but I don't think you can do that 2 times in a row. I'm just really interested to see what can happen, all things equal. Arapahoe has a little bit better of a scouting report in that one. Can Dundee County Stratton slow down that big 3 of Arapahoe? Of course, Dundee County Stratton is number 1 right now in Class D1. And if Arapahoe really wants to be able to get to that next level, and obviously they want to get to state, but if they are able to get a win like this against obviously one of the best teams in the area, this could just do a whole lot of good for them come postseason time. Our Sports Hub Call of the Week takes us to a showdown between the Cozad and Holdrege boys. Cozad, entering Thursday night, has won 7 of its last 8. Holdrege, on the other hand, lost 5 in a row. Holdrege has really been struggling in that stretch, and Cozad has been doing it with its defense, only allowing 43 points per game in that 8-game stretch. This is a haymaker team that we talked about last year, finding its groove in second semester. Once the football season ends and they're able to kind of get their legs under them, start playing 3 games in a week, this is a Holdrege team that is capable, or a Cozad team rather, of beating really any team that's on the remaining part of their schedule. Obviously a tough loss to Ainsworth right now, which is just absolutely ripping up C1. But I just think that if Cozad's able to work through that Holdrege press, you know, we've talked before about Holdrege's length on the press and what they can do and really kind of get teams out of their rhythm. But I think if Cozad can get out of that and into the half court, this is a game that the Haymakers should have no problem scoring. I think the Haymakers are able to pull this one out 51-43. As always, if there's somebody that I'm forgetting in 3 stars, if there's somebody that I'm just not talking about in general, you feel like your team is getting slighted, shoot me an email. I want to hear about it. That's sports@kearneyhub.com. Make sure that you're also sending in all of those box scores. We want to get those in every Friday night. Very important, coaches, that you keep sending us those box scores. Definitely want to get your kids in the paper. So for Connor O'Gara, this has been the Sports Hub. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.